In the vast Star Hall of the Union Exchange, where ambassadors and heirs from dozens of worlds stood upon polished metal floors, she stood alone. The alien princess, known simply as Lyra, waited beneath the shimmer of the selection banners. Today was the choosing ceremony, a practice held once in every age of her people, where the royal daughter offered alliances through marriage to strengthen peace across the stars. Yet as the ceremony neared its end, no one stepped forward. Lyra was not unwanted for lack of status. Her lineage was ancient, her bloodline revered, and her presence dignified. But her people were tall and silver-skinned, with deep glowing eyes that intimidated many. She had trained her entire life to stand with grace, but she lacked the cold, predatory charm of her ancestors. She carried gentleness instead of sharpness, resolve instead of dominance, warmth instead of intimidation. And for this, many sought other unions as the banners dimmed and the alien crowds began to murmur with awkward silence. Lyra kept her chin raised. Her heart thumped behind her rib cage, but her voice remained still. No one had selected her. Not a single ambassador. Not a single warrior. Not a single royal from any species present. Then she saw him. A human stood near the edge of the hall, alone, observing without any expectation. His name was Kai, a simple representative from Earth who had arrived to negotiate resource agreements. He wore no shimmering cloak, bore no crest, carried no mark of nobility. Yet he stood steady and unafraid. His eyes were not cold nor judging. They simply met hers with quiet recognition, as though he understood the ache she hid so carefully. Lyra did not hesitate. Her feet carried her forward across the silent hall. Her guards stiffened, and the onlookers gasped, for never had a princess stepped off the dais to approach anyone. But she continued until she stood before the human, whose gaze never faltered. She spoke with a calm voice, it did not betray her racing heart. "Will you be my husband?" The hall erupted. The shock spread like fire across every faction. Delegates shouted. Warriors barked protests. Nobles whispered of scandal. Humans stared in disbelief. And yet he did not step back. Kai simply breathed, steady and calm, as though the universe had not just shifted onto his shoulders. He answered in a tone as clear as her own. "Why me?" Lyra took in his question. She knew the eyes of the galaxy pressed upon her. She knew every ruler demanded justification. She offered it with plain truth. "Because you looked at me as though I were a person, not a prize." That silenced even the loudest opponents. The hallmaster, a towering official of her world, stepped forward with trembling indignation. "Princess, this is beyond tradition. You cannot choose one who does not hold rank. You cannot bind our future to a species so new to the stars." Lyra lifted her chin. "Tradition does not decide my worth." "I do." The official sputtered, but could not stop her. The ceremony allowed the princess to ask once. No one, not even the ruling council, could interfere with her chosen question. Kai studied her with searching eyes. He could have walked away. He could have spared himself the weight of an interstellar political storm. But as he looked at her, truly looked, he saw the strength in her resolve, the quiet courage behind her loneliness, and the heavy expectations she had carried since birth. He saw someone who chose not by power or advantage, but by connection. "I need to understand your world before I answer." His voice was firm. "I need to learn what this bond means to your people." Lyra nodded with relief. "Then walk with me." From that moment, a storm rose across the stars. Every species filed reports. Every envoy sent warnings. Some accused Earth of scheming. Others accused Lyra of betrayal. But she paid them little attention. She brought Kai across her world, showing him the floating gardens where her people cultivated harmony through artistry. She brought him to the memory halls where echoes of past rulers murmured through crystalline walls. She brought him to the river terrace where she often sat alone, hidden from royal expectation. Kai listened to everything. He watched the way her people moved with structured formality. He noticed how every citizen lowered their gaze in her presence, as though afraid to show emotion. He saw how she breathed more freely when escape. From protocol, granted her a hint of normalcy. Asked her more questions. What happens if I say yes? Our worlds form a bond of alliance. And if I say no, you walk away, and no one may harm you. I will accept the loneliness they choose for me. And what do you want? Lyra hesitated, her hands folded in front of her, the way she had been trained since childhood. But her voice broke through that rigid poise. I want a choice that is mine. Kai understood that more deeply than she expected. He spent days learning the customs of her people. He learned that the marriage vow was not simply political. It was a union of mutual defense. A promise that both partners would protect each other and the realms connected to them. He learned that her people valued strength above all, and yet Lyra had shaped her identity around compassion. One evening, the stars shimmered over the terrace as twin moons hovered above their heads. She stood beside him, not as a princess, but as someone who could finally breathe without judgment. Kai broke the quiet. No one else asked what you wanted, did they? Lyra's voice softened. They saw the crown, not the person who carries it. And you approached me because I didn't look away. Yes. Kai looked toward the horizon where the moons cast silver reflections across the rivers. I'm no noble. I have no royal blood. No armies at my back. Lyra gave a small smile. I did not ask for armies. I asked for a partner. Kai let the silence settle again. He felt the weight of her world pressing against his decision. And yet he also felt something unexpected. He felt the honor of being truly chosen. Not for power, but for humanity. Before he could answer, disaster struck. A hostile faction from a rival world arrived without warning. They believed the princess's choice threatened their own future influence. They sent armored raiders to seize Lyra and force a new political arrangement that favored their dominion. The attack fell swift. Explosions rippled across the terrace. Guards scattered to defend her. Lyra stood shielded behind them, but a burst of energy shattered the defensive wall and sent shockwaves across the platform. She stumbled and fell to the ground with a cry. Kai reacted faster than he thought his body capable. He rushed through the debris, and smoke grabbed Lyra by the arm and pulled her behind a broken pillar as more blasts rained down. He shielded her with his body, feeling the heat of the impacts scorch the stones behind him. Lyra stared at him, stunned. You do not have armor. I'll manage. Kai gritted his teeth. Stay behind me. You cannot protect me alone. Watch me. He seized a fallen guard's stun baton and stepped out as another raider charged forward. Kai moved with a surge of instinct. The baton cracked against the raider's armor. Sparks shot out. The alien staggered, but Kai persisted, striking until the attacker fell. Another enemy advanced. Kai ducked behind the pillar and threw an energy shard he grabbed from the ground. It burst in midair, knocking the raider off balance. The guards regrouped behind him, inspired by his refusal to retreat. By the time reinforcements arrived, the raiders had withdrawn. The attempt had failed, and the galaxy would never forget who stood first between a princess and death. Lyra rose shakily. Her eyes reflected more emotion than her people usually allowed. She approached him as he caught his breath, still gripping the damaged baton. You could have died. Kai wiped dust from his face. You could have, too. You protected me without duty. I protected you because I care. The words echoed between them like a vow never spoken before. For a moment, neither said anything more. The moons shone down on the shattered terrace, illuminating the proof of his courage. After the incident, her ruling council held an emergency gathering. They demanded she reconsider her choice. They insisted a human could not bear the responsibility of binding two worlds. But Lyra stepped forward with the same courage Kai had shown to protect her. He faced death without armor, she declared. He acted with heart instead of obligation. If strength defines our people, then he has shown more of it than any who sought this bond. Kai stood nearby, listening as she defended him. He felt the weight of her faith settle in his chest, like a promise he did not wish to break. Later, when they stood alone on the terrace rebuilt after the attack, she turned to him again. "I asked you before, will you be my husband?" Her voice was soft but resolute. "I ask again not as a princess, but as someone whose life you saved." Kai took a long breath. He looked into her luminous eyes and saw not royalty, not political advantage, but a person seeking connection where she had found only duty. He saw someone who chose him before he had earned any merit. Someone who needed honesty, not grandeur. He stepped closer. "Yes." The word settled between them like a star that finally found its orbit. Lyra closed her eyes with relief. When she opened them, they shimmered with a peace she had never known. She extended her hand, the old gesture of her people, yet softened by her personal warmth. Not Kai accepted it news, spread across the galaxy faster than any envoy could speak. Many protested. Some celebrated. But no one could deny the truth. A princess had chosen a human. A human had protected her without fear. And the bond forged between them was not political convenience, but mutual respect built through choice and courage in the days that followed. Earth and her world crafted a shared alliance.